Welcome to the Rad Conversations Podcast.
Welcome back, folks, to another episode of Rad Conversations. This week we have Veronica with us, and she's going to tell us about all the paranormal experiences that she's had her entire life. Now, she doesn't feel like they're attached to a house or attached to an object. They're attached to her. They go everywhere with her. And if you're around her long enough, you're going to experience them too. But sometimes she wonders if they're ghosts or actually her guardian angels. All that and more coming up on this episode of Rad Conversations. And remember, if you enjoy the show, please like, comment, and share. All right, let's get to Veronica and her ghost stories. Welcome to the show, Veronica.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Hey, could you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm 45 years old. I have 5 kids, and the reason I came on this is because I have been surrounded by ghosts my whole life.
You've had some paranormal experiences over your life. Could you share with us when it all started for you?
Well, they started before I had any memory of them. From as early, before I had any memory, my mom says that ghosts were always around my crib and they would sort of be watching them. She thought they were more like guardians to me than anything. And then as I got older and started recognizing them myself, so I've had them around me my whole life.
So your parents could see them also?
Yes. Yeah. But they were always around me. So like the very first memory, my mom said my dad was in the shower and down the hall they had their room, and then across the hall was my room, and between our rooms was the shower. My mom said that she heard me crying and she looked down to my room. She could see my crib and she saw a man picking me up, and she assumed it was my dad. But then my dad came out of the shower, so they ran over there, and I was sound asleep back in my crib. So she said things like that always happened when I was a baby. They said once I arrived, the house got very active. You know, like there would be a couch, my mom said, one time lifted in the living room and dropped, you know, so they thought it was the house, but they never got that active until I was born. So I don't know what it is about me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Your childhood home, how long did you live in that house for?
That home, I was a baby, and then my dad bought a ranch, and I think we moved there when I was in kindergarten, so about 4 or 5, and then that land was very active as well. So I was there till my 20s at the ranch.
And do you remember your first experience with a ghost?
Yeah, when we first moved to the land, again, I was like 4 or 5 years old, and we were playing outside, and my uncle had passed away about 2 years prior. The memory's vague, but I do remember I was playing outside, and it was daylight, and I saw my uncle walking, like, my dad had a volleyball court for us, and my uncle was walking alongside the volleyball court, and I wasn't scared. I was a little girl, so I went inside and said, "Hey, you know, I saw Theo outside," and they're like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, he was walking," and I wasn't scared. They were kind of concerned, but to me, it was just my uncle. So that was the very first time I had remember seeing him.
And when you saw your uncle, was he? I know it was a long time ago, but was he all there, or could you see through him, or? No,
well, he was like. It was his full body. He was walking, but he was blurry, I guess. You know, like it wasn't like you or I. It was like a blurry figure.
Did he say anything to you, or you just saw him kind of?
Yeah, he was like walking towards me because I was walking towards him and he was walking towards me, and so I just ran inside and told my dad, because I was kind of hoping my family would go out to see him as well, because I was kind of excited, but they didn't see him and they thought I was crazy. so yeah.
Really? Even though they saw you early on with ghosts, they didn't believe you every time you saw one?
No, until they started believing things once, like the ranch also got active. So like once we moved from that house to the ranch started getting active, and then everyone kind of believed me. Through our whole life there was presence in the house, knocking, doors opening and closing, things walking on the roof, like there was all kinds of stuff. So our house was always active. Yeah.
Now, is this only at night, or is this all day long, or?
All day long. it would get more active at night and more active like at certain times of the year, like let's say moons, weather, things like that. It would get more active, but it would happen during the day and at night.
So, like a full moon, more activity,
yes.
Or if it was raining, more activity?
Right, more activity. More full moon, not so much raining, but like, it was weird. Like, it was almost like if there was bad weather coming, our house would get more active. So, like, knockings, doors opening and closing. If you would sleep, I know my brother would get scratches, like, on his back, like something would scratch him. I never got physical. Nothing ever got physical with me, but like with my dad. My dad was a single dad, so if he would go to sleep during the day or at night, something would always come from behind and like hug him, kind of spoon him, but there was never anyone there. My brothers and my dad would get the physical part of it. I never got that. Like I never felt anything. I just saw, they were always in my presence. There was one thing that I would say the most physical is when I got older, I had 2 children, and I had to move back into my family home growing up with my dad, and I was sleeping with my little ones, a 1-year-old and 2-year-old, and my 1-year-old always would get up in the middle of the night and walk out of the room. And so this one night I felt something at the foot of the bed. The foot of the bed kind of bounced, and so I looked up, and there was a small figure at the foot of my bed, and I said, Haley's my daughter. I said, go back to sleep. And the thing that I thought was my daughter jumped off the bed and ran out the hall. So I got up to follow it and noticed both my girls were still in the bed. And you could hear the footsteps, and the bed moved when it jumped off. But my girls were still in bed with me. I was terrified, because I'd never experienced like a presence like that before. You know, so to me, I always felt things, I see things, but that was like physical. Like it moved my bed, it jumped, I heard footsteps. It was very, very, that was the very first thing that ever scared me.
Okay, so you got up, you saw the figure jump off your bed and run down the hall, yes. And then you got up to chase it, but then you saw your 2 kids next to you, so you were like, no, I'm good? Or did you continue to chase it?
No, I was good. Okay. I didn't, and I shut the door, and I was like, I prayed, and I was like, I don't want to know. That really left me uneasy. That's the first time I've ever felt uneasy of a presence.
And now when you shut the door, obviously ghosts can come and go, but do you feel like sometimes you can just will them away, or just like, hey, today's not the day, I'm not going to deal with you guys, and they'll kind of respect that, or they're just 24/7 all the time?
I've noticed the more you give them attention, the more active they get. It's almost like they like that someone can see them, like they're alive. You kind of make them alive, I think. I've noticed that the more attention you give them, the more active they are. I've noticed if I see it walking or anything, to me, it's just an everyday occurrence, so I kind of brush it off, and then it's done, you know, but, and I learned that very early, you know, because of the more attention I gave it, the more active they became. So I just kind of ignored it.
Now, did you have a friend? I mean, imaginary friend back in the day? No, you never got that friendly with any of the ghosts. No. I just kind of got used to seeing them and hearing them. My brothers were terrified of the house. My dad would brush it off, like, He would try to find like a rational, you know, like there's a rational reason for everything. And my brothers were terrified of that house. I was kind of scared at sometimes, but most of the time it was normal to me. So. Now, did the ghost ever follow you to school or outside the house, or everything was at the house?
Everything's at my house. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'll see it. If I'm at a gas station or something, or I'm somewhere, I'll see something, again, like outside my window, or, you know, I'll see something. But it's never, like if I'm in a store or something, like it's more in my house, in where I live. The thing with my little sister is my little sister used to dream things that would happen ahead of time. So if her and I are in a house together, it's very active. I don't know what it is with her and I together. But if we're in a house together,
Really?
she lived with me. She lived with me during COVID, and the house we lived in, we rented a house in the river in New Braunfels during COVID, and that house was very, very active, but her and I were together, so I think that contributed to it.
And did you guys see the same ghost, or would she see something and tell you later, and then, or would you guys share the same experiences? Or
we would share the same experiences. In the room she was in, she would hear knocking under her bed. That I don't know if it was that house or just us together in that house. I posted it on the moms group, and they're like, we've toured that house and we felt eerie. You know, everyone said they felt something in that house, but her and I moved into it together, and that house scared me. I'd never been scared of the paranormal, but that house really did scare us. So we didn't stay there that long.
What happened at that house that made you more scared than what you've witnessed in your...
Can you hear me? Okay. The presence
I was just about to say, I've had more audio issues right now than ever before, and I think it's the ghost. Honestly, I think it's the ghost interfering with electronics and stuff, because I've never had this issue before. I wouldn't doubt it.
I wouldn't doubt it. That house, okay, so like the presence I feel like now and all the time, I've never been scared. You know, I've never been scared. I know that nothing's out to hurt me. At that house, I was very unsure. Like, it was the stuff you would see out of movies. Like, it terrified me. And there was one time there was going to be meteor shower. And my oldest daughter lived with me, and her room was downstairs. It was a 6-bedroom house, so it was COVID. We all kind of came together. You know, COVID, everything was different. So we wanted to watch the meteor shower. So at that time, my youngest was like 4 or 5, and her baby was 3. And I said, let's put the kids to bed. Then when we're done, we'll get a glass of wine and go outside and watch the meteor. She's like, okay. So then my dog was barking like crazy downstairs, and I'm like, what is going on? And so I text her, and I said, go see what's going on with the dog. And she goes, okay, because she was downstairs. And she goes, he's barking at the bike. And I said, what bike? She goes, the bike in the living room. And I said, there's no bike in the living room. She says, Kimber's bike, my daughter's bike, is in the living room. And I said, it was in the front of, like, the front door. How did it get? And the way that house was is it was an entry room, and then there was a step down to the kitchen, and then a step down to the living room, and that's where the stairs were. So that bike somehow rode from the front room to the kitchen to the living room and was still standing up. And so I said, that's not possible. Put it outside. Like, put it out. Like, I was like, and I brushed it out. I brushed it off. I tried to be rational. So I said, maybe it rode. You know, there's no possible way a bike to do that. So she put it outside, and then 10 minutes passed. She's still downstairs, I'm upstairs, and she's like, Mom, are you doing laundry? Because the laundry room was outside of her room. And I said, no. And she goes, someone's opening and closing the washing machine over and over again. Like, it's like,
oh, wow.
And I said, that's not me. So we're scared. We're like, what is going on? The dog was freaking out. The dog's never that jumpy. And I'm like, maybe it's the meteor shower, because when the weather changes or something, they get active. So I said, meet me at the stairs, and we're going to figure this out. So we go to the stairs. I grab the bike, I put it to the front, and we're trying to roll it. We're trying to, again, rationalize it. Remember, we had the living room, the kitchen, and the front room. So we had to go grab the bike and wheel it through the living room, the kitchen, and the front room, and we rolled it a couple times. Everything was normal from here to here. And it kept falling. We're like, there's no way it went 3 rooms without falling, and down steps. So we're like, we don't know. So when we walked back by the kitchen, and this is what, like the movies, all the cabinets were open. The fridge was open. The microwave was open, and I'm still getting chills, and the oven was open. Everything was open. When we had just walked by there, nothing was like that. So I've never gotten scared like that. Like, we didn't hear it happening. We were right there. There's no doors or anything.
Yeah. I was going to say, what was the time frame there? You walked through the kitchen and you turned back 5 seconds later, and all the cabinet doors were open?
Yeah, it was literally maybe 10 seconds. And it's not doorway. It's all open, you know, it's all open concept. Living room, kitchen, and front room. And so in the front room, we went and pushed the bike twice, and then we went back. Everything was open. And I'm terrified, but I have to act cool because my daughter's there. And she's like, Mom.
Yeah.
She's like, in our voices, she's like, that wasn't like that. And I said, I know. I said, maybe you opened something to make a bottle before putting in your bag. She goes, Mom, I did not do that. Everything was open. I took pictures of it. I have pictures somewhere, a video, because we were so scared. Like, I was so scared. So then I said, let's just go to bed. Like, we're not watching the meteors. There's something going on in this house tonight. You go to bed, lock the door. I'll go to bed. It was just us that night. So I go upstairs. I take my dog. My dog the whole night stayed by the door growling at the door. And all night we heard people running up and down the stairs. All night. She could hear it from downstairs. I could hear it. And that house was, after that, I guess because we gave it so much attention that night, that house was so scary to live in. So scary. I would put gospel music on, like if we were downstairs, I would put gospel music on upstairs, very low, to kind of, because I'm Christian, and we'd be downstairs, and all of a sudden, rock and roll would be blasting upstairs, and I would have it really fade on Christian music. We wouldn't go to any room by ourselves. We were scared. Every day we were scared, and I think it knew that, and so it would feed off of that, and it was really, I had to get someone to come sage it. I had someone to come bless it. Like, that house, as soon as we could get out, we were out, because that house is the only time I've ever been scared of the paranormal. That was the house. So
Veronica, have you ever had a decent night's sleep?
Yeah, I sleep pretty good. I actually do. I sleep pretty good. Like I said, I've never, not in that house. Like I said, I've never felt like harm, like that the presences were going to harm me or my kids. I found comfort in them sometimes, like when my dad was passing, when we went to take care of him in the house we grew up in, and he was on oxygen, and he was in his room, and I slept in the living room so where I could see the kitchen that leads to his room. And anytime I would see the person going into his room, I knew he needed help. I knew he needed either his oxygen or pain meds. So I find them kind of comforting, like they weren't ever they've never been there to hurt me, other than at that house. I didn't feel comfortable there. But like when my dad passed, they were very present. They were always going in. I say they were always going in to check on him, so we knew we had to check on him, so I don't know. Sometimes I find comfort in them, if that's weird. They've never felt like intimidated.
Well, that's great. And these homes that you've lived in, are they 100 years old? Are they brand new structures? Or it doesn't matter, they're always with you?
It doesn't matter, yeah.
So like when you go on vacation and you're in a hotel room, do you have them with you there?
They're
everywhere.
There. They're like in my peripheral and stuff. Yeah. I'm divorced now, but when I had a live-in boyfriend, I stayed in his house, and he's like, I stopped seeing things when you moved out. Like, him and I are still friends, and he saw them when I was living there, and now he doesn't. So I think they just follow me around wherever I go, and I don't.
Wow.
My kids sometimes see them now, like they'll tell me, and I'm like, well, they're not here to hurt us. I've never felt like they were here to hurt us or anything, so I'm not worried too much.
Do you have any ghosts that have been with you for like 10 years? Or do you see different ones all the time, or do you see repeat offenders?
It's the same ones. I think it's the same ones. Like I said, at that house that we lived in, those were different. I wouldn't even know if those were ghosts, though, because they were causing nuisance. Like, they were causing, they weren't causing harm. Well, I can't say that, because one time my sister's dog bowl just got thrown across and it broke. Like, I think those could have been harmful. I really do, because they were doing things that kind of scary things, so I think those were harmful. But other than that, the other ones, I honestly think they're my protectors, like, if I'm having like a bad day or something, like, they get more, I don't want to say active, but I know they're there, so I want to say, if they've been with me since I was a baby, I'd like to think they're like protectors.
Now, you have a sister and a brother? Any more siblings?
There's 6 of us, so my older sister, brother, my other brother, me, my little brother, and my little sister. So it's my little sister and I are the ones that feel them. She'll dream things before they happen, and then when her and I are together, the houses get active. And then my brothers just felt it. Like, they never saw, they just, some reason, whatever it was, did not like my brothers.
And did they like you much growing up? Or were they, come on, get them out of here?
My brother, well, my brothers always said I was, it's okay. My brothers always said I was dumb because, like, I didn't welcome them, but I'm like, it is what it is. Like, what am I going to do, you know? I think I saw them more when I was younger. I think when you get older, you kind of get distracted and you lose sight of that some, you know. I still feel them, but I used to see them a lot more when I was younger.
Well, and what age do you think that kind of dropped off at?
Probably in my 20s. Like, because I still feel them and I still see them, but not as much, you know. So I think you just kind of lose sight of, they say you have like this sixth sense or the sixth ability, and the older you get, you kind of lose that, or you ignore it or something. I think I ignored it for too long, but
yeah. So that's pretty good though. They're never going away from you. They're always with you. But typically, you hear kids kind of lose that a gift around 7. They kind of phase out of it at that point in time. But you went way past that point and stuff.
They're around me all the time. So I mean, it is. I don't know. I have a lot of animals. I've always had animals. I think they sense them too, you know. So if the animals act weird, I know there's something around, and I can usually see them. But other than that, I mean, I'm not scared of them, you know. I don't think I've ever been scared of them. Just certain ones that I know that, okay, they're not here peacefully, you know. So, but that's been
right. And do you feel like any of them have done you a favor? Like saved you, or you know, you were at a stoplight and you're about to go, and they're like, "Don't go," or anything like that, or they distracted you so you didn't go right or left, or do you think any of them are looking out for you that way?
Yes, my girls say I jinx them because I will sense something or be shown something, and I'll tell them, "Don't do this" or "Don't do that," and then it'll happen because they don't listen to me, and it'll happen, and they're like, "You jinx this," and I'm like. Or I'm telling you, you know, like I'll say, one day they were going to visit their dad, my 2 adult children, and I said, well, don't take the truck, take this car because something's going to happen, and they're like, you're going to jinx this, and I just know I have senses of things, and sure enough, the truck broke down like 30 minutes in. So I do things like that a lot, and they say I'm jinxing them, and I'm like, I don't think, I know when things are happening, like I really do know when things are happening. I get a sense, something happens in my home that I'm like, okay, something's going to happen. You know, like I know something's going to happen. And my little sister was the same way. She'd dream it. Like she would dream things like I had a miscarriage, and she told me a week before it happened, you know, because she had a dream about it. And she felt guilty for telling me, but she had things like that. So I don't have dreams about them. I can just feel them. I can feel like, you shouldn't go there because of this, and my kids say I jinx them, but I honestly, I do think that they help me with that.
Wow, and so it's not just being a parent, you know, and everything you've learned along your life. You think you're getting an extra sixth sense or intuition of like, hey, don't do this, do that.
Right.
How many of your kids they all sense it because you can sense ghosts in the house?
The only one that really tells me she can, like, she feels things and she sees things is my 16-year-old. Like she'll tell me like she can see things, and she'll hear things, or something will move or something. Like she's the only one that kind of got that. And I kind of tell her like, well, don't be scared of it. You know, like I try to tell her like, don't be scared of it. If it's not here to hurt you, if it's not doing, like if you're just sensing it, like there's no reason to be scared. You know, just pray. I tell her to pray. I'm very faithful to that. And I tell her. There was one time in her room, like she was scared because she heard like there was always knocking, you know, and so we staged her room and we prayed, and then it went away. But like she can usually tell if she's scared of it, then we'll sage it and we'll pray, because I don't want her scared, you know. But other times she'll say she sees something, and there's different ones. You can kind of sense, like if you're used to it, you can kind of sense maybe which ones are here, like ill intentions, you know, and then ones that are peaceful.
And you get that right away, or is that like after a couple minutes while they're around you?
A couple minutes. Yeah, you can kind of sense the difference.
Thanks for watching the show today, folks. And if you enjoyed it, please like, comment, and share. And like always, stay rad.